Hi everyone. In today's topic, we will talk about the Java string methods, wherein this is the use of the string class has a set of built-in methods that you can use on strings. So let's begin it with charAt. So this charAt method returns the first character of a string. So the parameter here is an integer index, wherein the first character is set to be 0, the second character is 1, the third character is 2, and so on. So the index has an integer value representing the index of the character to return. And the return here is a character value at the specified index of the string, which is, say for example, the first character value is at index 0. So let's have an example. So let's assign an str value with a value of, let's say, hello world. Then with the use of the specific character, the charAt, so let's say the return is character value, so let's say answer is equal to, so str dot charAt, and then a specific index. Say for example, we want to display the value for h, so we will put 0. Okay, so display the value. So it will output the specific character. Okay, so let's compile. Okay, so no error. Okay, so the answer is letter H. So what if we want to display the W? So we will count. So if we put 6, it will display the W. So it displays the W. So the next type of string method is decode point at. So this method returns the Unicode character of the first character in the string. It means that the corresponding return is an integer value. So we will replace this as a string as an integer value for the return, and we will use also the decode point at. So the decode point at parameter is also an index, an integer value. The index is also an integer value representing the character to return. So this is also an index value. Okay, so it returns the specific value of the Unicode character. It returns the value of the Unicode character. So say for example, we put H here. So the Unicode value of the 0 index H is equivalent to 72. So in the Unicode character, if A is equal to 65, capital yan, all caps, and B is equal to 66, C is equal to 67, D is equal to 68, and we have E equal to 69, F is equal to 70, G is equal to 71, and H is equal to 72. So we will check if the value is in Unicode character. And we will set again also another example. Letters, we will replace letter E for capital letter. Yung small letter E, we will replace it with uppercase letter E. So the answer here at code point starting point 0, so we will replace it with number 1, so which means in the index number of letter E. So if we get the result, so the value for letter E is 69 and the value of letter H is 72. So the next type of string method is we have the decode point before. Code point before. So this code point before, it returns the Unicode of the first character in a string. So there is also similarity with the code point at, but this code point before returns the Unicode value of the character before the specified index. So therefore, the index counting starts from the first character, which is 1. The second character will be 2, and so on. So if the value is 0, it will generate an error or as a negative number. Okay, so the index parameter also is an integer value. Then it returns an integer value also representing the Unicode value before the specified index. So this happens because if letter H is in normal counting for the character array, so it starts from 0, but H will start from 1. If we choose 1, since 1 is letter A, so at code point before is, it will select the letter before the selected 1. Okay, if E, so letter H. So if I choose here, say for example, we will use now the code point before. So if I choose here 1, it is letter H. So say for example, I want to choose W. Okay, so I will select also the specific counting. So let's say 7. Let's say 7. Okay, so we will use now code point before. Okay, kulang ng T. Code point before. Okay, so yan. Okay, so the value for the letter H is 72 and 87 for the W. So that's the value of the code point before. The next string method, we have the code point count. So this code point count return the number of Unicode values found in a string. Okay, so the use of the start index and the index parameters to specify where to begin and end the search of the corresponding value. So in the syntax is, we have the integer, we have the start index, and we have the integer also, which is the end index. The return is an integer, and if an integer index is negative or an index is larger than the length of the string, or start index is larger than the index, so it throws the error, which is index out of bounds exception. Okay, so let's have an example. Okay, having this string hello world, and we want to get the code point count. Okay, so let's say starting from, copy paste the code point count here. So let's say it's a code in code point count. So we'll begin from the start index, let's say 0 to 5. So it means that we are counting the value for the code point count starting from letter H up to O. So possible the output there will be 5. Okay, let's say for example we count from letter L, okay, which is starting from number 4, and the end index will be, let's say we try it on L. So probably the counting here is also 4, the output. Okay, so 5, 4. Okay, so that is the code point count method. So the next method, we have the compare to method. So this compare to method compares two strings lexicographically. So the comparison is based on the Unicode value of each character in the strings, and the method also returns 0 if the string is equal to the other string. So a value less than 0 is returned if the string is less than the other string, and a value greater than 0 if the string is greater than the other string. So the syntax is also compared to a string or object. Okay, string to a variable object. Okay, that's the parameters. Okay, so it returns an integer value. So let's have an example. So we'll make two string variable. Let's label it as str1 and str2. So we use the compare to. So if we have str1 here, compare to, let's say, str2, and another example here, compare to, so let's say another str3. So we have str3. We will add another variable for str3. Okay, str3. Okay, but we will label this letter O to letter Z. So we will compare str2 and str3, str1 and str2. So let's check what is the output. Okay, so the first output is 0, which means str1 and str2 are equal, and str2 is, the result is negative 11. The str2 is str3 is greater than the value of str2. So that is the reason why it is negative 11. But if we replace letter Z with letter E, let's see what happens. Okay, so the result of the second output is 10, which means str2 now becomes greater than the str3. So that is for compared to. So next is compared to ignore case. So in compared to ignore case, it compare two strings ignoring the lowercase and uppercase differences. So the comparison is based on the Unicode value of each character in the string, which is converted to lowercase. Same as to compare to the method return 0 if the string is equal to the other string, and if the value is less than 0, return if the string is less than the other string, and a value greater than 0 if the string is greater than the other string. So the parameter is still string, and the return is an integer value. Okay, so let's have an example here again using the compare case. Okay, so we will replace the compare to method with the compare to ignore case. So in string 1 we have hello world, and string 2 we will make it small letter. So it will ignore the uppercase and lowercase. And the string 3 will remain it as hele word. Okay, so we'll check if the result. So the result based on the compare to is just the same. So they only differ in their uppercase and lowercase. So the result is 10, the result is 10 because str2 is still greater than the str2. So let's proceed with the next. So the next string method is contains. So the contains find out if a string contains a sequence of characters in a string. So it returns also if the character exists and false in that. So the syntax is the contains has an index of character sequence, or it can be also a string. Then it returns boolean, so we will replace this receiving variable with boolean. Then if the returned value is null, so the null pointer exception will be sent. So let's try using the contains. So we will replace the old method with contains. So let's say for example for str1 we'll check if there are contains of WOR. And for str2, we will check if there is an LL, a value of double L. Okay, see, both are true. Both contains WOR and contains also the LL for str2. So what if the string? What if we put a string not found in the declared example string, but string? Let's say, for example, we have LE. So that contains for the str2 one. Okay, so true, false. Okay, so the next method is content equals. Okay, so this content equals find out if a string contains a sequence of characters. So there is a similarity with contains method. So what this also returns true if the character exists and false if not. So the syntax of the content equals are string buffers or a character sequence. So this can be string or character sequence. Okay, so the return value will be still boolean and indicating whether the exact same sequence of the character exists in the specified string or string buffer. So it will give you the result of true if the sequence of character exists, and it will give you false if the sequence of character does not exist. So let's have an example. We will use str1 as an example. We will comment on the two sample strings. So we will use str1 and we use the content equals. So for the content equal, it should be the exact word. So it will check if the string is correct. So other than that, if we choose only, let's say, hello, so it will return false. So it will only check if the string is really equals to the specific string declaration. Okay, so exact word is true, then even though there is corresponding hello in the string, still false here. Okay, so the next is the copy value of. Okay, so we have to, the next is copy value of method. So this copy value of method returns a string that represents the characters of a character array. So this method returns a new string, so therefore the return here will be string. So the parameter also contains the character data here. So let's see the character data plus the int offset or the starting point, and the int also the count, how many specific character. Okay, so the return of the string. So using the copy value of, by the way, if the offset is negative or out of range, or if count is greater than the length of the character array or negative, it will throw out the string index out of bound exception. So let's have an example here. So let's use first the str1. So in str1, this will be an empty string. So this is the target of the copied character array. So we declare a character array. Let's say str is equal to, let's say we'll just use the hello. Okay, so hello. If we want to get the value for a specific character, so first is the data. So we will use the str1, the str only. Okay, str, that will be the character, and the next will be the integer offset. So also the beginning. So if we want to copy all the characters in str, so we will start from 0 up to 5. So it means it will copy all the value of the str to str1, the empty string. Okay, 2, 3. Let's copy 2. Okay, so that's it. So it means three letters starting from 2. The next string method is ends with, which find out if the string ends with the special characters. So this ends with method is to check whether the string starts with the specified characters. So the syntax also, the parameter here is a string character. Sorry, this can be a string characters. Okay, so it returns boolean. So the return value will be boolean, and answer is equal to, let's use it in the ends with. Let's just replace it with ends with. Okay, so the example here using so let's just delete this character array. So in str1 we use hello world. So we will check if it ends with. Okay, so we will check if the ending character is equal to the specific string. Let's say so orld, and let's do it also in the another string str, which is we replace this to orld also, but the letter O is capital. Let's check what would be the result. So boolean wrong spelling. Okay, so the first output is false and the second output is true. So that is for ends with. It checks only for the ending of the specific string. So the next for is the equals method. So this equals method compares strings to find out if they are equal. So just like comparing two strings. So the use of is just like the use of compare to method, which compares also two strings. And the syntax here is the parameter can be an object, object or the specified string. So the return value is still boolean. So let's have an example. So let's open these other declared string variables. We have to check str1 and str2, but we will use equals function method. So str2 will be compared to str3. So we will check if the result can be already in boolean. We will check if the result is true or false. Okay, so both are false since str1 and str2 and str3 are not equal. So let's make it equal. Okay, so let's try it again. Both are false again. Okay. Let's make this capital H, and this one is capital W. So true, false. Okay. So the next method is so after equals, we have equals ignore case. So this equals ignore case is just similar to equals. The only difference is it ignores the lowercase and uppercase of two strings. Okay, so the syntax is also a string here. The parameter is also a string object. Then if we try to use the example here, so we will use the equals ignore case. Okay, so we have str2, str3, we will compare that, and we'll make this str2 in small caps. Okay, so let's try. So the receiving or the return value is also still boolean. Okay, so true, false siya. Okay, so next. Okay, so the next method is we have the index of. So this index of method returns the position of the first occurrence of specified character in the string and used as the LastIndex method to return the position of last occurrence specified character in the string. So the syntax for index of has 4 functions. Okay. So the first one is a string, the second one is string, and with an index with an integer index from where will the searching will start or from where the searching will end. Okay, then another is also an integer character value and the integer character int also from. So we will try to use that example. So let's replace this string. Okay, so let's say the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so it returns also a value, an integer value representing the index of the first occurrence of the character in the string, or it give the result of -1 if it never occurs. So let's have an example here. Take note that the from index is an integer value representing the index position we start the search from. We'll replace now the index of. Okay, so the return value is an integer value. Replace this as an integer value. So in the parameters, the first one is only the string. Let's say we will look for the word jumps. So in the str1 also, and we will search also for the word jumps. But let's say we start from let's say 22. Okay. So what will be the answer? Okay. So the first output is 19. Okay. So it founds in 19 index. So the starts here jumps. So the 22 returns -1 because the word jumps never appears after 22. Okay. So after 22 wala nang jumps. Okay. So what if I put jumps after the dog? So what will be the output of the second? So it appears that 43, no longer -1. Okay, so kasi nakuha niya yung value after the negative. After 22, there is already the value of jumps. So the next method of after index of is empty. Has no parameter. It will only check if the strings is empty. Okay, so let's empty str2. Okay, so i-empty natin yung str2. Okay, so we will use empty string. So if str1 is empty, so no parameter, then str2 we will empty this also. So str2, and the return value is a boolean, so we will replace this int as boolean to receive the integer value. Okay, so let's try. So probably the answer will be the first one is false and the second one is true. So let's try running the program. Okay, so false, true. Tama. Okay, so next method we have the LastIndex of. Returns the position of the last occurrence of specified characters in the string. So if there are two or more occurrence in a string, so it will count out the last occurrence. So it is just like the use of index of method to return the position of the first occurrence. So yung index of nagre-refer siya sa first occurrence, but this last index refers to the last occurrence. So there is similar syntax for the last index, wherein the parameter also we have string here. So we have string, then we have also a string and the integer from index. So we have also the int character, the Unicode character, and also the int character with int from index also. The from index there is an integer value representing the index position starts to search from. Okay, so if omitted, the default value is the length of the string. The length mismo ng string. So while the character here is the integer value representing a single character or the Unicode value, so it returns an integer value representing the index of the first occurrence of the character in the string, or it displays also -1 if it never occurs. Okay, so let's have some example. So the return value is an integer value. So make it as an integer. So last index of. Then we will display also here in str1. So the first is, let's say we look for the word jumps. Then the next one is also, we look also the same as jumps. So the last occurrence. So let's say 22. So 22. So let's try running this code. Okay. So the first displays 43. This will be the 43. And the second 22 is ito yung number 19. The result here is 19. So ito yung result. Jumps. Because only the index that covers 22 will be the last occurrence. Hanggang dito lang siya. But if I put another jumps here, so we will try what will be the the same, because it is no longer covered by the number. But if I put here 30, so the answer may be different. Okay, 25, because the next jumps is on the 25th index. Okay, the next is the replace. Returns a new string where all possible characters are replaced with possible characters. So the parameter is a character representing the character that will be replaced, and also the new character representing the character to be replaced by the character 1. Let's say this one will be the character 1 and this will be the character 2. So the character 1 will be the character to be replaced, and character 2 will be the character to be placed on character 1. Okay, so let's use str1 to be for the example. Okay. So let's say str1 will use the replace, and the return value will be string. Okay, so we will replace it again with string. So the str1 replace with, let's replace jumps, character. Let's replace one of the character of jumps. Let's say u. Let's say u, we replace it with a. And another example for str1. we will replace O with capital O. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's run. Okay, so the output already replaced the letter O with the first one is U, which replaced by letter A. So all U in the strings will be replaced by letter. So in the second string, all small letter O will be replaced by capital letter O. Yan. Replace. Okay, so the next method is starts with. Find out if the string starts with the special characters. So it's just like with ends with method, which check whether the string ends. But this starts with naman checks if the string starts with the specified character. So the string value, which is the parameter is string of characters, and it returns a boolean value. So we will replace this as boolean. Okay, so then next is we replace starts with. So yung mga dating replace, we will replace it with start. So we will empty this first for str1. So we will check if str1 starts with. So the return value of starts with is boolean. So let's try using the start with. For str1 we use the da, and also the str1 we will check if it will accept the he. We will remove t after that. So the use of starts. So the answer is true. So the str1 starts with the and false for the for the output 2 false because it starts with the he. So the last method that I will be presenting is the trim. So this trim method removes white space from both ends of the string. So if this string str1 here has white spaces after the string, so it will be removed using the trim. So this method does not change the original string, okay? And it returns also as a string method. So gawin natin itong string. So we will use trim. Then we will remove this second example. So we will replace str1 and string. It will display the strings, the white spaces already. Okay, so yeah. Okay. So for this session, and I hope you learned a lot for this simple discussion.